Well, I guess Miss McGill's aiming to gun Bat Masterson.
Don't be a fool. Why, she wouldn't have a chance in a gunfight with a man.
I wouldn't bet against her. Miss McGill's a shooting woman.
Wyatt Earp, brave, courageous, and bold. Long live his fame, and long live his glory, and long may his story be told.
The Life and Legend of Wyatt Earp, starring Hugh O'Brien.
Women of the frontier, when Wyatt Earp was Marshal of Dodge City in 1876, had long been accustomed to scenes of violence and gunplay. But aside from tough show-offs like Calamity Jane, Belle Starr, and Pearl Hart, women rarely carried a gun or used one, and then only in some act of desperation. The circumstances which turned Mrs. Jane McGill into a shooting woman were unusual, and she became one of the most serious problems Marshal Earp ever tried to handle.
Gates locked. Let's cut the wire.
Here, take this axe.
Get away from that fence!
Now, take it easy, Ma. We got cattle on the drive, need water. You've locked the gate.
I promised feed and water for Mr. Hap Dorset. He'll be driving his own cattle in soon. I gave him my word.
First come, first serve.
You ain't cutting my fence. Now back off now.
Boy, you old bat.
No. Shooting a woman? Tobe will have Wyatt Earp throw her in jail.
All right, let's go.
Hush up, Boots. Come here, girl. Come on. Trouble's over for right now.
Mama, you shot at them.
Yeah, over their heads.
Oh, how could you? I promised Marshal Earp that the next time we had any trouble, we'd send for him. What if they tell Mr. Earp? I could have driven into town.
By then, they'd have busted down the fence. And speaking of promises, I gave Hap Dorset my word.
Oh, him.
You like the boy, don't you?
I've said it 50 times. I'm not marrying to live on a ranch. I've seen all the cows and cowhens I can take.
You think you'd rather have Bat Masterson?
No, we're just friends. Bat has lots of girls, town girls.
And a roving eye.
You seem to forget that I'm quite grown up. In fact, tomorrow I'll be 21.
21? Well, that's right, Effie. You'll be of legal and voting age if they let a woman vote. Well, it all kind of comes to a head, your birthday and Hap riding in.
Now, Mama, I haven't promised Hap anything. So happens that Bat's gonna take
Well,
me.
I better hitch up that rig and get into town before the stores close and the bank.
Bank? Our credit's run out at the stores and we haven't a dime in the bank.
Tomorrow's the day, honey. You'll be 21. And I made a promise on it.
Mr. Masterson, come on out here. I want to talk to you.
Now, what's up?
Mrs. McGill again. Took a couple of shots at some of Tobe Larson's cowhands. They talked him out of filing a complaint.
Well, thanks.
I want you to ride out there and give her a good talking to, though. Part of her farm's on the city limits now, and she's got to quit shooting at people every time she has an argument.
Or couldn't you go out there this time, Wyatt? She doesn't think
Now,
too
look,
much of...
I didn't pick Effie McGill for your girl. You just read this to her mother.
Yes, sir, but why don't...
Anyway, you got no reason to be wasting Effie's time. Or do you intend to marry her?
Marry her? Well, I haven't more than kissed her a couple times.
Well, that's enough to give a nice country girl ideas.
Gosh.
Well, Mrs. McGill's caused me a heap of trouble, but I kind of like her. She's over 50, and I'm just 30, but we're both old-timers in the West.
Huh?
Well, I guess that seems kind of odd to you, but you're not an old-timer unless you haul to California by wagon train. Didn't Effie tell you that she and her folks...
Wyatt, they want you down at the bank right away.
Hold up.
No. Something about Mrs. McGill.
Oh, well, Deputy Masterson can go.
Well, they asked for you, Wyatt. The cashier said that.
All right. All right. You know, maybe you should get married.
This
This is unusual, madam. It's been 10 years since we've been asked to cash gold nuggets. You're not a depositor here, and you don't seem willing to explain how you came by the...
Well, I didn't steal them.
No one's accused you of that, Mrs. McGill. It's just that banks have to be careful. At $20 an ounce, you have almost $300 here. Oh, Marshal Earp, thank you for coming so promptly. We have a matter.
Howdy, Mrs. McGill.
Howdy, Marshal. He thinks I stole them.
Gold nuggets, Mr. Earp.
Well, Mrs. McGill and her family were 49ers. Didn't you tell Mr. Perkins that?
I don't like to talk about it.
Well, you're perfectly safe in cashing them, Mr. Perkins.
Well, if she'd only explained. One moment, and I'll have the cash for you, Mrs. McGill.
I'll be outside. I'd like to talk to you.
100, 200, and 300.
Thank you kindly. All that bother over a few piddling nuggets.
Well, it's going to start a lot of talk.
Ain't none of these town folks ever seen gold before?
Well, gold coins, but not any dust or nuggets. Oh, by the way, Tobe Lawson said that you took a couple of shots at some of his boys.
One shot. I aimed high. I told them I promised to save water and feed for Hap Dorset, but they started to tear down my fence.
Well, Mrs. McGill, I think that if you...
But didn't you tell me you hauled to California when you was 16?
Yes, I'm on a wagon train.
Yeah, well, us wagon trainers always took our own part.
Well, we had to then. You know, I can remember when my dad named me as the hunter, the whole party. I just about wore myself to a frazzle, stalking after all those buffalo and antelope. One day I put on a big rebellion. Yes, sir. I told my old man they just have to eat wild turkey and prairie chicken and quail. Those people got so sick of eating it, they started calling me Cluck Cluck. And that shamed me back into hunting buffalo again.
Yeah, and if you'd have found one of those bullwhackers that trying to steal meat, wouldn't you have taken a shot at him?
Well, in those times, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well, but you see, the law today says that people can't go around shooting other people just for trespassing unless you know for sure they aim to commit a felony. See, Mrs. McGill, times just aren't the same anymore. And I'm sure that Mr. Lawson would have been willing to pay for the food and the water and for the busted fence. Look, if anything like this happens again, you just have Effie come in to see me, huh?
All right. Depending there's time. But there ain't always been time, Mr. Earp. Long before you came to Dodge, I had to stand off hoodlums with a gun.
Yes, I know that.
Yeah, well, Effie will be hitting her 21st birthday tomorrow, and I aim to see Hap Dorset driving in with his first herd of steers. Well, like I told Effie, it's all coming to a head, and my work's almost finished.
Is the mother's job ever finished?
Handling the gold will be.
The gold? You got more of it?
Oh, yeah.
Well, now, you better bring it in here and put it in that bank.
It's safe, Mr. Earp. But I do thank you kindly.
Oh, scandal travels without a wire, swift and hot as a prairie fire, gossiping, gossiping, gossiping all over town. The busybody's tongue is mightier than the sword, swift and eager to spread the word, gossiping, gossiping, gossiping all over town.
Maybe it's just a lot of talk, Si.
Yeah. Maybe it ain't.
We better wait for the boss.
Why cut the whole outfit in on it? Just the old woman and her kid to handle. Ain't we men enough to do that?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh, they're beautiful. Just scrumptious, Mama. Did you, buy them on credit?
No.
But what with, then?
Never mind, they're paid for. Now, you try your dresses on. I gotta fix that fence.
Marshal Earp was here.
What do you want?
He thinks you've got some gold hidden on the place. And if that's true, he thinks you should put it in the bank.
I'm waiting for Hap Dorset.
Hap? What's he got to do with your money?
More than Wyatt Earp or Bat Masterson have.
Now, Mama, you wouldn't be so foolish as to try to bribe Hap into marrying me. I told you, I'm not going to marry a cattleman. We We've had nothing all these years but 50 scraggy acres and this tumble-down old house. Smelly cowhands and bawling steers and drunken hoodlums you had to threaten with a gun.
It's been hard for you. I know that.
And worse for you. Why did you hide the gold? Why didn't you sell this place and move us into town?
The gold has blood on it.
Oh, you mean that Papa and John...
Wasn't their fault. I was the one who wanted to travel west. And then when we'd made our pile and started back, I got a fence that needs mending.
Tell me the rest of it. I want to understand.
When the posse had saved you and me, and when I was well enough, I went back to that ambush. I couldn't even find the graves. The buffalo had stomped the earth flat, killed the grass and the prairie flowers. What do you buy with blood? Pretties like them things? A house in Dodge City on a 2x4 lot? Your Papa and John, they didn't like the mines. They wanted to homestead land in California. Gold, that was my doing. What have you been guarding all these years? The dirt, the water in the well, the pond, the trees, the sky? And a fool of an old woman. And a girl who won't learn from her mama's foolishness.
Howdy, Miss McGill.
Half Dorset.
I'm a little late getting here.
Well, it's about time. Where are your cattle?
Oh, down the trail a piece. Well, how's it been going, Ma? And how's Effie?
We're all right, but the drought got you, didn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I'm only bringing in about 100 head.
Oh, well, that's better than I expected.
No, Ma.
Oh, some small outfits ain't driving at all this season. You can rest them here and put some weight back on them. I've been holding it for you, Hap.
Well, I knew you'd keep your part of the bargain. But me, well, I can't even pay until I sell the steers.
Hap, don't worry about the pay, but kind of keep the bad news from Effie, huh?
No use, Ma. She can count cattle.
Oh, you can brag you shipped from Wichita or that you sold most of them to a trail buyer, now can't you?
No, ma'am. I never did have any luck lying to women. She'd find me out as quick as you did.
Take a look yonder.
Your mother's got Wyatt awful worried this time. He didn't order me to come out here. He asked me as a personal favor. Wyatt doesn't ask personal favors just for nothing, Effie.
You tell Mr. Earp that it is true what we were talking about, but I can't do a thing with Mama.
You ain't going to get any place with Effie eating humble pie. I tried that. Failures young girls nowadays don't tolerate them.
Well, I'm all kinds of a fool, and the drought starved me out, so what chance would I have asking her to marry me?
Don't that horse of yours want some water?
He sure does. Water, Patches. Water.
Sure is thirsty.
I better do a patch-up job for you there.
Nope. Hold me up that milk can. I'm going to change my bank.
That ain't real gold.
Yes, sir.
Well, thunderation, Ma, you shouldn't keep it there.
Is that all that interests you?
You should put it in the Wells Fargo Bank or someplace.
Hap, I want to lend you some of that right now.
Oh, no.
Look, you can buy some more cattle, build a ranch house. It would all belong to you and Effie. I don't want none of it.
Thanks, Ma. Thanks just the same.
Hap, I know it looks like I'm trying to buy you for Effie, but that ain't the main point.
Well, there sure must be another point. You know I'd marry F tomorrow, and I wouldn't charge you a nickel.
Look at Hap, listen. Wait a minute.
Well, ain't you gonna say howdy to an old friend?
My goodness, it is you, Hap Dorset.
Yes'm.
The sun was in my eyes and I couldn't make you out. Why, you look plumb tuckered, Hap. Aren't we going to invite him to supper, Ma?
He's invited.
Well, thanks, but I can't stay.
Why not?
Well, my cattle, Effie, I left them resting up the trail.
But you have cowhands to look after them.
One cowhand. We'll be driving in about midnight if you'll just give me a key to the gate, Ma.
I've got an extra one here.
Thanks. Maybe you'll invite me to breakfast.
Why, of course.
You sure get prettier every time I see you. And, Ma, you changed banks again. Well, bye.
One cowhand. Must have made a big success.
He tried.
Poor Hap.
Don't say that about him. He's been fighting the drought and his range dried up, and there wasn't nothing he could do about it except keep his courage.
All right, Mother. All right. I promised Bat I'd meet him in town. Can I use the rig?
No.
Very well. I can walk.
Oh, forget what I said. You can use the rig. It's already hitched up.
Thanks, Ma.
Well, the girl's out of the way.
What are we going to do about the old lady?
Scaring and talking.
The dog, he might raise a rumpus.
No, he won't. Come on, let's get at it.
Hey, come here.
Boots.
You reckon she's still in the house?
I don't know. Seems kind of strange. Woman sees her own dog shot. Don't come running out or nothing.
Probably scared to death. Maybe she ain't here.
Let's look around.
The other one's in the parlor, dead. They killed my dog.
Here, let me do that.
You gonna arrest me?
Yep. Those men were Hogan and Lacey. They run with the Billings gang. I've got to keep you in protective custody.
For how long? Hap will be driving his cattle in at midnight.
Billings and his crowd will be here before that, maybe. They're bound to have heard what happened.
I've caused you enough trouble.
You sure have.
Well, why worry with protecting me? If the rest of the outlaws come, let them ransack the place and take what they can find.
That isn't the law, Mrs. McGill. You've been wrong, but the law still has to protect you.
It's in the milk can in the well.
That's your mama's business, not mine.
What?
I'm not thinking about her and her money.
Oh, or me either.
She wouldn't turn in that gold when Wyatt told her to. Then she up and shoots 2 of Bud Billings' hoodlums. When the rest of them come, we may have a big gunfight on our hands. And all because your dear mama never heard of banks to keep money in.
Well, I thought you'd be willing to make allowances.
Not when folks get Wyatt into a lot of needless trouble.
Wyatt, always Wyatt. So he comes first?
Well, that's my job.
And the important thing is that, well, even though you started for the gold first, you always had the land in your head.
Yeah.
You know, I guess us wagon trainers are all alike. I've always wanted to have a cattle spread of my own.
Wyatt, big cloud of dust on the road out of town. Looks like Billings is on his way.
All right. Mrs. McGill, you and Effie go in the house. Stay strictly out of this. Get those horses in the corral.
Those my men, Hogan and Lacey?
That's right.
Told me back in town some crazy woman bushwhacked them.
You heard wrong, Mr. Billings. They shot her dog and then broke into her house.
That don't sound likely, Earp.
Well, that's what happened. You climb down off that horse and I'll show you where Lacey died in the parlor. I'll show you where the dog's buried, too, if you like.
Why would they do it? Broken down old place like this.
Well, Mr. Billings, they thought there was a lot of gold buried here. Didn't they send you word?
No.
Well, I guess they decided to take it on their own. Well, I've told you the truth. I've said all I'm going to say.
I heard you called a lot of names, Earp. Liar ain't one of them. Reckon Hogan and Lacey got what they deserved.
We'll let the court decide that later.
See you.
Yeah.
I see now. That's the way the new law works. At least when Mr. Earp's around.
Wyatt?
Yeah?
Effie says that gold is in a milk can down the well.
You go haul this stuff up. I'll go ask Mrs. McGill if I can't take it on over to the bank.
Yes, sir.
Here. Mrs. McGill, I'd like your permission to take and put that gold in the bank. Mr. Masterson says he knows where it is.
All right. Might as well take these along.
Yeah, that's a good idea, too. Excuse me for a minute. Miss Effie, Mr. Masterson is one of my best friends, but I can't say that he's good material for a husband yet.
No, he isn't.
I talked kind of mean to your mother, asking you not to add anything to it. It's a tough job getting blood off gold, and what she did all these years, she did for you.
I know that now.
You know, as an old wagon trainer myself, I'd just like to say that Mrs. McGill could captain a wagon train for me anytime, anyplace.
Well, I guess it's North Texas, Mr. Earp.
Saddle up. Take those with you. You know, Effie and Hap are going to need you.
Effie, did she say... You sure?
North Texas, that's what she said. But they're never going to make it without you.
Oh, go on now.
No, I mean it. North Texas is big country. It's a lot more your size than this little farm. When the northern winds start screaming and your grandchildren, they come down with the croup. You be there, Mrs. McGill.
I thank you. I thank you kindly. Old timer.
The West Country, he made law and order prevail. and none can deny it. The legend of Wyatt forever will live on the trail. Oh, Wyatt Earp, Wyatt Earp, brave, courageous, and bold. Long live his fame, and long live his glory, and long may his story be told. Long may his